If you had a podcast where you just trashed women, like real, I'm not talking about fresh and fit or anything. I'm talking about like really just trashed women, and it got to where you had 4 or 5 million subs, women would still be coming on your show and still f***ing you, even though you're trashing women. It's so crazy.
I've seen them do it to women.
All of our preferences, when we talk about thinking, like why do you feel these ways? Maybe you're in these relationships because of abandonment, et cetera, et cetera. In this situation, everything goes back. If you keep going, thinking, eventually you get to your ancestors. Eventually you get to Homo sapien evolution. Every single proclivity you have has to exist somewhere in evolution. So you have this proclivity for women to not sleep with a lot of people. In fact, most men find that repulsive. Not all, but a lot of men find the idea.
Real quick, you know what's interesting? Sexually speaking only, there are many times I actually find it incredibly lustful and hot.
Because it's just sexual.
Yeah.
The reason, again, this is part of the reason why is because that woman is a place for you to possibly get her pregnant with no investment. That's why you find her attractive.
You think subconsciously?
I'm thinking
definitely not consciously.
Yeah, subconsciously. Yeah. What you need to do is just think of a Mickey Mace 50,000 years ago, and like what are his motivations for survival. I need to spread my seed as much as I can, so I'm gonna have one primary, and if I can have quick sex with another one and possibly get her pregnant, then the probability, now I have 2 children, even though I'm only taking care of one, the probability of my genetics being passed on increases. Does that make sense? So more casual sex. That's why in every culture, men are more interested in casual sex than women are. And so in this situation, when you say you have a revulsion for women who sleep around with a lot of people, and
I didn't say revulsion, but okay, for the example, go ahead.
Yeah, well, some men do.
Yeah.
And so you say, well, that's only because men are insecure, or that's only because men are misogynistic, or it's only because of patriarchy or whatever. And then we show the statistics that show that when women sleep with more partners, that they are more likely to cheat in a relationship. Then it's like, wait a second, no, maybe it's an evolutionary adaptation to solve the problem of paternity uncertainty.
You're way too smart to figure out what it really is. What it really is all of the women that are arguing that are morons and whores, and all the men that are arguing against you are such simp pussies that they're only left to date the girls that date everybody, and they need to argue loud enough so they can justify why their girl is a. You don't need to be that smart to figure that out.
Yeah, I know. But the point is, I want to have this conversation with academics, and I can't if I say you're all dumb. I have to have the conversation.
I can say it.
Yes,
though.
for sure. I have to say, here's the data. Here's what the data shows us. And when the data shows us that, I also have a normal proclivity to feel kind of gross when I like this girl that I'm with.
So what's the direct question though that you're asking him?
No. The direct question is what I'm doing is I'm illustrating that his necessity for wanting a girl, even though he's been with a lot of girls, his necessity for being with a girl who hasn't been with a lot of people.
I think nowadays it's just all ego driven too, though.
Yeah,
like you asked me.
The point is, if it was all ego driven, then the numbers I would have shown you wouldn't be the case. I'm
saying in a sense of like for example earlier when you were like, oh, do you care if a guy slept with like 500 chicks? It's like no, but as long as it's not somebody I know, or like, you know what I mean, as long as it's not within my close circle, I don't give a.
Yeah, but that also makes sense.
But I feel like guys are like that too, because a lot of guys are like, oh, like I know she slept around, but if she slept with somebody I know, like I could never.
Yeah, but they would still prefer if she hadn't had slept around.
I just don't think it's as big of a deal as it used to be.
We had Allie Spoon on here on Access Vegas, and Allie was just like, yeah, I'm going through it right now. I'm seeing like 6 guys at once. I don't give a I don't want to be in a relationship. And the girls were like, here, we were asking them, do you have a hard time getting a guy to commit? And all of them were like, yeah, hard time, terrible. And then we go to Allie and she's like, no, every one of them wants to commit to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every one of them. I'm dating 5 dudes and all of them want to commit to me. And it was just like, it was just such a mind.
No, it's because you're that kind of girl. The more available you seem to everyone, the more they're worried like, oh, I got to. But if you're that desperate girl that's trying to get them to commit, they know they don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
But guys are afraid if you're not that much of a girl to commit, that they're like, oh, I'm going to run off and find somebody else. I got to lock it down.
Maybe most guys, not all guys, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I'm chasing an Allie Spoon. Yeah, I mean, I think she's awesome.
Personally, I respond really poorly to that personally, but I could definitely see why.
But that's why you tell me, because you're like, oh, it's always the first guy you meet that you did. It's because they immediately try to lock me down on it.
Who wouldn't try to lock you down?
But it's different. Hold on, Brandy, it's different. It's different, Brandy, because they're men and you're women, so it's a very different thing, right? So for instance.
But I'm saying you were asking other girls if they have a hard time getting guys to commit. I've never had that issue.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, but also because you meet a different standard financially, successfully, attractiveness. Like you meet a different standard. I think you're not going to have a hard time. Just compared to the population, you're not going to have a hard time. Like no matter what you do, I think you're going to have a hard time finding someone. But finding someone that you like may be some difficulties. And you mentioned before, you can't tell all the time what people's intentions are when they try to get into a relationship with you.
Yeah. I'm getting better. Like I said, I've gotten a lot better.
Yeah. How can you tell? There might be a bunch of girls watching right now that can't tell you know, whether or not somebody's with them for the right reason.
I've gotten to a point now where I'm not very upfront about how much money I make and things like that. And I really do kind of like, I have like little, not tests, but I hold back a lot. I don't give up, you know, the emotional stuff right away. I don't offer anything financially. I don't like everything they might be looking for that I have. I don't put out there, offer or show. And then I'll wait a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean. I wear an Apple Watch and drive a 10-year-old car. I run an 8-figure business. I totally understand what you mean. Yeah, for sure. Because I just the thing is, when you get into that category, and you as a woman don't need to. As men, sometimes it's very beneficial to say, oh, I'm above a certain standard, right? But for women, you'd really like. There's no reason for a woman to buy a Birkin. I just don't know why they would spend $75,000 on a purse.
I don't own anything designer.
Yeah.
For every man that attacks another man like based on his preference of women or whatever it is, they're such pussies.
Yeah, it's not great.
They're using that as an opportunity to infiltrate a weak woman's circle.
Yeah. Let me explain something to you guys. They're not going to sleep with you. No matter how much you sit there and try to jump on this thing. It's like, oh, no, it's egalitarian. Whoever you want, and body count doesn't matter. I understand that you're saying that and calling me misogynist, whatever you need to do. Guys, those girls in the comments who like your post, they're never, ever going to fuck you.
But
Maybe I'm the first one to tell you this.
You know who they are going to sleep with? Us.
Us, right. Yeah. You know what's so funny? I was talking to my friend about this the other day. If you had a podcast where you just trashed women, like real, I'm not talking about Fresh and Fit or anything. I'm talking about like really just trashed women, and it got to where you had 4 or 5 million subs, women would still be coming on your show and still fucking you, even though you're trashing women. It's so crazy.
I've seen him do it to women's faces.
Yeah, and then the girls still want to sleep with them. It's crazy.
I've seen him treat girls like complete like a girl will come to my house and it will be me, him, and our 4 other guy friends, and they're just bashing this girl, telling her how she's a whore for even being at my house, all this stuff, and then 5 minutes later she's like, okay, and like walks up the stairs with Mickey, and I'm like,
well, that's because I'm the good guy out of the group. I'm like,
you trash them the least.
Let's go upstairs.
Clay's the best, dude.
Yeah, but Clay has Asperger's, so he doesn't even count. Clay is not a socially inept creature.
He talked about how every girl Mickey brought over was a whore, and then this girl goes, "Do you think I'm a whore?" He looks over and he goes, "Probably."
But yeah, bro, every single time a guy's like in the comments or wants to like what do you call it?
Are you reading my comments? Because that's exactly what I get. Yeah, I get this all the time. Yeah.
No, I see it, man.
Yeah.
I scroll on the internet.
For sure.
Like, I see it. When I see this, in my head, I go, you're such a pussy, bro. I'm like, these women are not going to sleep with you because you're just calling other men a misogynist. That's not how it works.
Yeah. She's in Captain Save-A-Ho trying to act like he's defending them for them.
She don't go for Captain Save-A-Ho. That's why she's in the comments of the misogynist. She's not in your comments. She's in my comments.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've definitely had huge debates with girls about things before, and then they want to hang out with me afterwards. Yeah. Because I disagree with them.
Those are the same guys though that try to like, they see a guy and his girlfriend fighting and they try to go defend the girlfriend, and then the girlfriend tells him to fuck off and goes back and sleeps with her boyfriend anyway.
Those guys got soft hands.
Yeah.
Of course, bro. It's like they're not going to sleep with you. Like I wish guys understood that so they'd be less confused about this whole situation.
And they also start convincing themselves that they might be onto something when we're wrong, because sometimes they get that validation from the females.
Yes.
They'll never convert. They're not going to have sex, but they'll get the validation once in a while. Like someone will reply to their comment, "You're so right. You for the girls," or whatever. I don't know what they say. And the guy's like, "Oh, sweet. I've never had this many females in one day show me attention."
Yes.
Even though it's all faking on the internet anyway. And they really start going like, wow, I'm onto something. The men like that attention. They like the conversation. They like the whatever. And they build a whole personality about being like a male feminist or a whatever, anti-misogynist, whatever, idiot they are. And they have like this whole, it's stupid. It's stupid. It
is crazy. Yeah, I deal with a little bit of that. And my thing is that if I start bashing them, then there's a group of academics in evolutionary psychology that I want to start doing podcasts with, and they don't agree with me on certain things, and I want to have debates with them. So I never call women those names because I want to still be able to stay in that whole category.
I love hoes. Like most of my closest female friends are hoes. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. I can't believe you love hoes, bro. They for everybody. Yeah. They at every party.
Yeah.
But I love, I love, like my favorite evolutionary psychologist is Juicy J. I still love these. My other favorite one is his brother. My other favorite one is his brother, Project Pat, who says, don't save them. They don't want to be saved.
Yeah.
And my other favorite is Willie D, who said, you got to let them be a hoe.
Yeah.
Like that is just the best. Like
I don't think there's anything wrong with girls being hoes or whores, right?
Yeah, just own it, though.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I think what he's saying is there's nothing wrong with it, but there's also nothing wrong with us not wanting to marry you.
Yeah, exactly. Some of my best sexual partners of all time are like the biggest hoes hoes I know, right?
Pretty much all the girls that we bring around are hoes, I think.
Maybe you.
And there is the TikTok clip right there.
I met them all through you. I don't have any girlfriends.
No. Every girl that is around me is a beautiful and pure soul.
Okay, do you ever feel like you made any of the stuff up? Like, do you ever feel like, because that sometimes does happen with people who are bipolar, is they start making up things, slights that don't exist, or making themselves a victim when they aren't actually a victim?
I think there might have been specific arguments where I did, but I think it was justified based on the relationship in a whole. Like, I could go to Mickey and say, hey, I think I'm being irrational because here's what happened, this is what I said, and this is what I did.
That's a lot of self-awareness for a woman to ask a man, I think I'm being irrational. That's pretty amazing.
She asks me all the time.
That's a very high level of self-awareness.
She's so sharp.
I think you should lean on therapy. Like, that's a lot of growth for you to say that. Like, I know very few women that would actually do that.